Yama Uba are myself, Akiko Sampson.
And Winter Zora.
I play keyboards and I sing and I do some of the beat production.
I play guitar and I play saxophone on some of my songs.
Bones have weighed me down. These bones have weighed me down.
I met Akiko at a show that we both went to, and we were both in bands at the time, and our band actually played together like a month later. I'm still in a band called Priestess. And so that's how I met Akiko, and I've always been a fan of Ötzi, so yeah.
I was in Ötzi previously to Yama Uba, and I had also asked Winter to play in some kind of two-piece duo with me, but it wasn't really sure in what form that would be. So she started playing with us in Ötzi when we recorded our last album, and then when the pandemic hit, it became really difficult for four-piece bands to get together because of COVID safety. So we started playing together as a duo in Yama Uba instead of starting a new band, and we've been going that way ever since.
Bones that weigh me down, they are my home.
When I was a child, I was always really fascinated by stories of Japanese folklore and ghost stories, which I would hear from my family and from community when I went to visit Japan. And one of the stories that always stuck out to me was the story of the Yama Uba, who is a legendary figure that was said to have come about because of the actual practice of casting out grandmothers from villages during times of starvation, and that was so that there would be enough food for children and their parents who were producing. So Yama Ubas were said over time to have gone off into the mountains to live in the woods by themselves as kind of hermits or hags, and the name Yama Uba means mountain hag or mountain witch. And over time they were said to have become cannibals, to subsist by tricking and then killing and eating anyone who happens to walk through the woods. So to me, that story always seemed like a story of survival after neglect, and it seemed like it seemed empowering in the sense that you could take something that was an oppression or something that was a dismissal and turning it into your own personal power. So in taking Yama Uba for this project, I think it becomes empowering for both of us. We try to put as much effort as we can into every project, so nothing feels like it's more important to us at one time than another. But so far we've only had our work on compilations, and soon we get to put out our own 7-inch, and so we're pretty excited about that.
Our plans for this year is we're going to be coming out with the 7-inch. Our new song Shapes is going to be on it, as well as some other songs. Most particularly, we're going to be playing an online live stream event called Club Seance, and there's going to be lots of bands and DJs. It's going to be a 14-hour fundraiser for AAPI, so you should check that out and support that. And we're just going to continue to be playing live stream events as much as we can, and we're going to continue to write more music and channel, the energy and the feelings and our experiences that we felt, during quarantine and before quarantine, and turn that into something tangible that we can pull from and gain from something out of that. So we're excited to continue to put more things out into the world and share new things with you.
Right now we're at a decisive moment in history, it feels like, where we can either choose to push forward for a more free society, or we can remain silent and allow injustices to continue. In most parts of the world, we're facing fascism, imperialism, predatory capitalism, and we're fighting for human rights everywhere. So as individuals and as a band, we hope that you'll join in the fight for human rights and safety of trans and LGBTQ+, Black and Indigenous people, and people of color, immigrants, women, all over the world.
I think it's important that we are all paying attention to the human experiences around us, because we can get so lost within all of the, stimulation that we have around us. We're constantly looking at screens, and, we're really far away from where we would naturally, be as human beings. And I think the capitalist aspect has really created a lot of mental illness and a lot of trauma, and there are so many microaggressions within the world, even within movies, and things that you hear that are repeated to you. And I think it's important that we unlearn things that we learned when we were younger, that were part of that capitalist structure and that systemic structure of creating marginalized communities and creating more of like a hierarchy, and feeling like you're not as valued or appreciated as a human being as a white man would be. And I think that it's really important to be listening to women, most particularly women of color or femmes of color, and also non-binary and trans people, because they are the marginalized communities the most, and they're affected by it the most. And we're still continuing to fight for these justices, and it's going to take all of us to continue to tear down these systemic structures of oppression. And we need to all do something about it and talk about it, and not be afraid to educate people, or not be afraid to have conversations, or not be afraid to have uncomfortable experiences just because we don't want to be uncomfortable.
The only way forward basically is for us to all join together as people and say that each person is valuable because they exist, and that's all that we need in order to be valuable, to be seen, and to be cared for on this planet. And while we're at it, we should care for the planet too.
It's up to us to take care of each other, and I think it's important to create this kind of music, because we are taking, bad experiences or different experiences or uncomfortable experiences or any kind of experience, and turning it into something that we can heal from, as well as express ourselves with. And it helps me to listen to music because it makes me feel inspired, and it makes me realize that there's other people out there that feel similar. Having a lot of stimulation around us, it can be really isolating, and we kind of forget about going outdoors and saying hi to our neighbors every day, or meeting up at the park with our friends. And I think it's important that we keep in touch with that aspect of ourselves, because we need to continue to bring healing to this earth and healing to each other. And we need to continue to lift each other up and continue to bring the transformative and transcending energy.
I agree with Winter that one of the big challenges is not only fighting oppression, but each of us reclaiming our humanity in terms of how we spend our time, how we value each other. We've all seen that the governments are really not taking care of us as people. And one thing the pandemic has shown is that we really do only have each other. And one thing I'm very grateful for is being part of the music community, which I think has come together around the world. And so I'm grateful to Barcelona Alternative Nights for inviting us and making a connection with all of you. And I hope that someday touring is back and we can see you in Barcelona.
Oh,